Peoples, in their constant efforts for the triumph of ideal of liberty and justice of the American dream, are forced at the precise historical moments to make their greatest sacrifices. Our beloved community has reached one of those moments, a force of humiliation which we Hispanics were not accustomed to suffering after we won our independence, oppresses us in such a manner that it has become intolerable. In exchange for that humiliation, we are offered rights, but rights full of shame for the Mexican and Hispanic community, because its basis is not law, but slavery, because its object is not the aggrandizement and prosperity in the country, but to enrich a small group who, abusing their influence, have converted the legal processes into fountains of exclusively personal benefit, abusive and lucrative concessions and contracts. The legislative and jurisdictional powers are completely subordinated to companies. The division of powers, the sovereignty of the states, the liberty of the common councils, and the right of the immigrants exist only in writing or a great charter. But as a fact, it may almost be said that martial law constantly exists in America. The administration of justice, instead of imparting protection for the weak, merely serves to legalize the plundering committed by the strong. The judges, instead of being representative of justice, they're agents of the companies, whose interests they faithfully serve. The companies protected by the chambers of the union have no other will than the order of the slaver. The governors of the states are influenced by hatred, and they, in their turn, designate and impose, in like manner, the municipal authorities and citizens. From this, it results that we, the whole administrative, judicial, and legislative Republican machinery, obeys a single will, the caprice of Donald Trump, to eliminate illegal aliens, who during his long administration showed that the principal motive that guides him is to maintain himself in the power at any cost. For many years, profound hate and lack of humanity has been felt among the Republic due to such a system of government, but President Donald Trump, with great cunning and perseverance, which he has succeeded in annihilating all independent elements, so that it was not possible to organize any sort of movement to take from him the influence of which he made such a bad use. The evil, racism, and hatred division constantly became worse, and the decided willingness of Donald Trump to impose a racism upon the nations carried that evil to its limit and caused many of us Mexicans, even though lacking any recognized political standing, since it was impossible to acquire it during his years of dictatorship, to throw ourselves into the struggle to cover and recover the sovereignty of the people and their rights on purely democratic grounds here in USA. As a democratic republic, the public power can have no other origin, no other basis than the will of the people, and the latter can be subordinated to formulas to be executed in a racist manner. For this reason, the Hispanic people worked hard as slaves to earn their rights with no fight back since the times of Martin Luther King, brave leader who invited with honor to the Hispanic community to fight back shoulder to shoulder with black people. And they naively rejected him because of the fear to the whites on that era. Just as today's fear, desiring to use successively all the resources offered by the laws of the Republic, in due form asks for the recognition as equal to American citizens. Notwithstanding, they recognize no legal origin in Hispanic actions and knew beforehand that as its members were not the representatives of the people, they will carry out the will of Donald Trump, to whom exclusively they owe their greatness. In such a state of affairs, the people, who are only sovereign, also protested energetically against the unity of the Tres Amigos and illegal aliens, servants of the country, and imposing manifestations in different parts of the Republic. And if the latter were not general throughout the nation and territory, it was due to a terrible pressure exercised by government, which always quenches in blood any democratic manifestation, making every illegal alien silent in their slavery. But this violent and illegal, full of hate and division system can no longer subsist. We are living global changes. Trillionaires are taking control of middle class, and this is time for unity, not division. I have very well realized that if the people have designated me as leader for unity, it's not because they have had an opportunity to discover in me the qualities of a statesman or a ruler, but the virility of the slave patriot, determined to sacrifice himself, if need to be, to obtain liberty, unity, coexistence, and that to help the people free themselves from the odious hate and the greediness that oppress them, making the more powerful stronger for the every day since COVID are dividing and conquering. From the moment I threw myself into the philanthropy struggle, I very well knew that ex-President Donald Trump will not bow to the will of the aliens and the noble Hispanic people, that we will have hate my merely presence, for small as it was, that I will have failed to convince him in following me into the polls. Also knew perfectly the outrage that awaited them. But in spite of it, people gave the cause of liberty a numerous contingent of martyrs when they were necessary, and with wonderful stoicism, keeping the hard working and altruism with no reason but unity. But such conduct was indispensable to show the whole world that the Hispanic people, despite their legal status, are fit for democracy. Because even after years of humiliation and slavery, they have never stand against American citizens' general opinion. That shows, and I hope my American fellows can see, that they are thirsty for liberty and recognition as humans, and that their present rulers and slavers do not measure up to their aspirations. Furthermore, the silent attitude of the Hispanic people before and during the last decades, as well as afterwards, clearly shows that they strongly reject violence when they have always had the power to do so. Therefore, and in echo of the Continental Will, I declare illegal the calls to racism and the division of the three France and southern countries. As a first step to a human coexistence on Earth, beginning with America continent. And I assume, as a slave, provisionally of course, the image of the first Earthman looking for the same intercontinental coexistence, until all together we decide someone better than me, which will be easy to achieve until a union of Republicans and Democrats. To achieve this end, it is necessary to deport from power the greedy, corrupt, and audacious slavers whose sole legal titles implies scandalous and immoral fraud in order to have the right to traffic with humans. I sincerely declare that it would be a weakness on my part and betrayal of the people not to put myself in front of my fellow citizens who call me impatiently for all over the world to help them to find freedom, to compel ex-President Trump, by force of the philanthropy, to respect international will of humanity and demonstrate to his Republican followers that we can make America native again, electing him not as a leader of the American people, but changing his mind to illegal aliens, electing him as a leader of love, justice, union, and freedom among the entire globe. So this was the San Luis Potosí Plan, created by Francisco Madero on October 5, 1909, for the Mexican Revolution. And it was edited by me, Bruno Reynoso, on November 2020, for the Second Mexican Revolution, which is not violent as his. My revolution is fighting for Hispanic illegals in the US at a site of the Republican Party, not just the Democrats. We need both. We need American citizens to consider everyone as our friends. We are not here to damage anyone, to steal your women, to take out your jobs, to do damage in the country. Most of the people I have met on my travel here into the US, just families sending money to their families. They're being naive. Right now, I'm in LA. I'm a pro-bono consultant. I became an illegal a few weeks ago after being a victim of human trafficking. I had a chance to escape, but I fell in love. And at the same time, that happened, and even things didn't turn the way I planned. I'm now free. Stuck at LA. I'm in the middle of the biggest border crisis in Mexico and US history. And after listening to Joe Biden plans to help illegals, I felt big hope, not just for me, who have been traveling around countries the last 14 years. I'm in total freedom, but for all the illegal and legal Hispanic friends I met in my time in the US. Until I heard the Republican Party version full of hate and racism based on the build the wall statements and all Trump hate speech, it just broke my heart. So I created this. The last thing that you heard was a letter that we Mexicans know, and it was edited. So instead of fighting for Diaz and Madero's election, struggling and trying to make my first step into human coexistence on Earth by being a mediator on this Biden border crisis. So I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what's going to happen with all these people who's crossing the border. I just don't want them to be hurt. There's kids, there's families. They come here for a chance of an American dream, and all I want is to protect human dreams. I do care about Republicans taking care of their country. I do care about Democrats trying to be equal with everyone, and I think you're both right. I created this for Republicans, for Trump, for unity. Not to support Biden or Trump, but to build unity and coexistence from Mexico and the US to the whole globe, inviting Trump to accept my people. So, I guess that was it. Hope you like it. Hope he likes it. Hope everyone likes it. And that's it. Thank you.